Hello, my name is Tom Maskell, and I'm the author of a new stock market book, The Complete Guide to Investing During Retirement. Now, why would I write a book about investing during retirement? I did it because of one very shocking statistic. It has been reported more than half of all Americans have less than $25,000 in their savings accounts when they retire. Any type of a problem could wipe out all of their savings and leave them totally dependent on Social Security. Now, I recognize that most retirees are somewhat fearful of the stock market, and they certainly are not about to risk what little meager savings they have on some risky stock market investments. But this is not a book about risky stock market investments. This is a book about the business of investing in the stock market. And it is especially written for retirees. Retirees are special needs investors. They are special needs because the old rules don't apply. What are the old rules? First is start early. Retirees can't start early. They're already retired. The second is diversify. But all diversification will do for you is reduce your returns. It doesn't protect you from volatility. Even if you bought every stock on the stock exchange, when the market goes down, your investment will go down. The final rule they have is know your risk tolerance. And what they basically mean by that is don't bet what you can't afford to bet. The reality is that no retiree with just $25,000 can really afford to risk anything. So the good advice that you'll hear about the stock market isn't very good for retirees. That's where my book comes in. Now, you say the market is a scary place. Let's look at one of the scariest times in the market, the 1929 crash. In 1929, the stock market was at 381 as measured by the Dow. Then it crashed. But the crash wasn't a catastrophic downfall. The crash actually took 3 years. The bottom of the market didn't occur until 1932, when it hit 41. If you were in the stock market, you had 3 years to get out. And if you were out of the stock market and saw that bottom occurring in 1932, when the Depression was just beginning, you could have invested in the Dow, and within 1 year, you would have doubled your money. Because by 1933, the Dow had rebounded to 100 from 41. And by 1937, the beginning of 1937, the Dow was up to 194, almost 5 times greater than it was in 1932. Thus, if you were a retiree who was just going into the Depression with just $10,000 in life savings, if you had the understanding and the courage to invest in the Dow in 1932, by the time 1937 came along, that $10,000 would have been worth close to $50,000. That's the power of the stock market. And that's the power you will hold in your hands once you read my book and have the understanding and the knowledge and the courage to take advantage of that power. Now, that's just one situation. We are presently in an interesting situation where the Dow has dropped, and now, in fact, today it's just rebounded. Now, we knew that was going to happen. We knew that the market would come back. In fact, the market has dropped and begun to bounce back before there's ever even been a recession. Now, I know about the politics of it. Oh, it's the worst economy in 50 years and all that nonsense. But that's what it is, it's nonsense. And that's one of the things that you'll discover in my book. No matter what political stripe you are, Don't buy the rhetoric. You may vote the rhetoric. When it comes to your investment, vote the reality, not the rhetoric. So let's take a look at some of the opportunities that are in front of you in the stock market as a retiree. And that's the important thing. If you are a retiree who's never been in the stock market, now is the time to get in, because that means you have cash money. Now, if you are in the stock market and the market goes down, you want to stay in it, because unless your companies are in trouble, the market will rebound and so will your companies. But if you've never been in the market, that means you have cash. And the best time to buy in the stock market is when the stocks are down, so that you benefit from the rebound. And that's another thing that you'll learn in my book. When you look at the market, you actually see three forces at work. The forces of the investor, the person who buys the company and holds it over a long period of time. Then there's the trader, the person who tries to play the movements of the stocks, the price movements, buying low, getting out when they're high, buying back in when they're low, basically riding the waves of the market. And then there's the speculator. The speculator is either a gambler, which we're not going to be, or a visionary, which if you have those kind of skills, is a great thing to be. But let me give you an example of a visionary play. The stock is called Hansen. Hansen Beverage makes organic, natural sodas and fruit juices and drinks of that nature. They've been around for a very long time. But they have not been a big player. Their stock hasn't been overly successful. It's kind of lumbered around in the $1 range for the most part. But what happened? What happened to Hansen was foreseeable to the visionary. What happened to Hansen was that America fell in love with organic and natural foods. So much so that they were willing to pay a premium for those organic and natural foods. And they were willing to go into specialized stores like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and Nature's Bin to buy those foods. This gave Hansen a retail outlet for their sodas. It gave them shelf space and a ready market. What did that mean to Hansen? It means that their business basically grew from about $44 million in sales all the way up to over $300 million in sales. But for you, what it meant is their stock went from about $1 to over $50. Think of that. If you had only $25,000 in life savings and you had the courage to invest that on a vision of where Hansen could go, you could have grown that $25,000 50 times. Think of it. That's $1.25 million, and that all happened in just 3 years. That's the power of the stock market. That's the kind of opportunities that my book will help you uncover. Now, I want to be honest here. My book is not going to give you those opportunities. You have to find them, and you will find them. So, let me tell you that my book, The Complete Guide to Investing During Retirement, is going to be published this October 2008 and should be in the bookstores by December. It's an opportune time for you to buy it as a Christmas present or any kind of a present for an elderly parent, for a grandparent, or even for yourself if you just want to learn about how the market works. You can find the book online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Borders, or just go to your local bookstore. They'll be glad to order it for you. Now, if my little video hasn't moved you to buy the book, you can learn more about it at my website, retireestocks.com. That's RETIREE stocks.com. Good luck. Thanks for your attention. Bye.